Good morning and welcome to our Sunday morning service here at the Center for Spiritual Living in Reading. We're on Facebook Live, and with a little glitch in equipment, it may look a little different today, but that's okay. The message is fantastic because we have Reverend Lynn Fritz here giving her message on mindful action. For right now, we'd like to thank Damien for at least getting us online this morning. That's great. We've got Dalton here with music, Judy to play behind the prayers, and a couple people in the audience. And so what we'll do is get ready and have some beautiful music by Dalton.
Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. I used to think God was the sun, God is the sun, but God's so much more than the earth or the stars or all of creation. God is creator, all in all, needing us to shine its light as me, as you so use me. Oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Command my hands, what must they do? Command my life, 'cause it's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is creator, makes all things new. And God needs us to shine its light as me, as you so use me. Oh God, I stand for you. Here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do.
What a beautiful way to start the service today. Thank you. That was gorgeous. Just a quick announcement. Next Sunday, we are reopening, and that's July 5th. And we already have most of, 2/3 of the chairs already cleaned out here. So we've got a little pocket of singles, doubles, and triples. So if you come with someone from your family, you can sit together. There will be masks required, and we will have sanitation at each entry, which would be the foyer and the side entrance here by the bell. And we're really looking forward to it. I know a couple people I talked to this week said, I can't wait to get back. So we're really excited. And we know that staying safe, keeping our spacing, is going to protect everyone, not only us but you. But we welcome you. We'll be here at 9, and at 10:30 we will be doing Facebook Live once again. All right. The bell will now take us into the short contemplative part of our service today. Reverend Lynn's going to ring it for us. And then we'll have a reading by Damien, and then the talk by Reverend Lynn. We're so happy to have her back with us today. And if she doesn't tell you, I will. She loves to, when she comes here, to wear her robe and her stole because even though we don't see her here very often, she grew up in ministerial training with all of us other ministers, and she likes to show that this is where she got that beautiful stole, her ministerial license and her ordination. So we're really, really tickled to have her here this morning. So, Belle, please.
Good morning. Today's reading is from page 439 in the Science of Mind. It's a piece titled, "Thy Faith Hath Made Thee Whole," with an excerpt from Matthew 9, chapter 20 through 21. "And behold, a woman which was diseased with an issue of blood 12 years, came behind him and touched the hem of his garment. For she said within herself, If I may but touch his garment, I shall be whole. It is said that Jesus was aware of her presence and turned to her with the words, Thy faith hath made thee whole. This is a lesson in impersonal healing, showing that the spiritually minded are surrounded by an atmosphere of reality, the very presence which heals. Again, we find Jesus emphasizing the teaching that it is done unto us as we believe. And the woman was made whole from that hour.
Please join me in this prayer. There is only one infinite intelligence that has created all. This intelligence lives and breathes in the souls of every person throughout humanity. It's at this time in our history when we're recognizing it's all one. We're all one. So I know for myself, as well as each one listening or watching this morning, that we are taking mindful action these days to embrace each other, to really send love to one another and peace to one another. Because as we treat each other like we want to be treated, we find that commonality. There's a lot of variety in humanity, but at the core is our oneness. So I celebrate mindful action in making sure we share that with everyone, mindfully showing them the way. So I give great thanks for this teaching, for being here this morning, for Reverend Lynn's wonderful message. And I release and let go, knowing the power and the presence of God is what we trust in. We trust the universe, and we trust our principles. And we say thank you. And so it is. Reverend Lynn.
Thank you, Mary. Good morning. It is wonderful to be here in the Center for Spiritual Living in Reading. It's wonderful to be here alive and well. Hopefully your family is alive and well. As we begin, my intention is always for us to be able to engage, touching and interfacing with the Spirit within us. So I'm just going to take a moment for us to close our eyes and take a long, slow, deep breath in. And just relaxing as you exhale. It's important for us to touch into and connect with the sacred that dwells within us. Our topic of contemplation this morning is mindful action. And one of the first things I'd like us to think about, what does mindfulness actually mean? Because we can have action that isn't mindful, but this is pointing to something much greater. And I would suggest to us that it's something much more profound. Because mindfulness has to do with consciousness and awareness. It's a heightened consciousness, a heightened awareness. So our action that is mindful would carry with it an attitude of heightened awareness that allows us to move differently. But also noticing that action means movement. It's not simply thinking about or just contemplating. It means something much more. Going back to the reading that Damien shared with us, that is from the Bible, and it talks about the woman that is having an issue of blood. I want you to think about that. 12 years. I can't imagine 2 weeks or 2 days, let alone 12 years. But if you look at that scripture, I want you to notice that there was an action by the people participating in it. The woman's father took her to see Jesus. And unfortunately, as the man approaches Jesus for healing for his daughter, he says, "My daughter has died. But if you come, you can make her well." So Jesus follows him. But I want you to notice, too, the woman touched what? She touched the hem of his garment. So for her to touch the hem of his garment, that would mean she was very prone, laying on the ground or at a low state. She reached out and touched that hem. And notice what happened because of that action. She was made what? She was made whole. So there was action by her father that took her there, and there was action by her reaching out for the hem of Jesus' garment that caused her to recognize full wholeness of healing. When we look around our world today, there is an urgent need for healing in many forms. In the last few hours, day, there's been a shooting in Red Bluff at the Walmart distribution center. Murders that transpired in Shingletown. We see unrest in our nation as people protest police brutality of African Americans causing death. It is hard to believe the racial injustice that still holds true in our nation. There's the pandemic. When we think of the thousands upon thousands that have died and the catastrophe that is global with yet an unknown end in sight, it shakes us to the core. Frankly, I think it calls us to action. Mindful action. I want you to notice that our leadership, that our government represents, people that we vote into office to take care of us, to be the leaders to decide policy and how we respond to each other as a society, have asked us on a number of occasions to wear masks. Because they study science, and science says the safest way we can be out in community when we go to the grocery store or we go someplace where we're interacting with people, especially if we're closer than 6 feet, that the ideal, they've said to us, is to be at least 6 feet apart. So they're listening to the scientists. They're listening to the people that are studying this disease. They're listening to the medical professionals that try to communicate with us the best way for us to maintain health and well-being. There's so much unknown about this disease. I think it originally was worried about the respiratory. Now they're discovering it's much more significant. It also includes the immune system. So for me, I wear my mask wherever I go because I want to do the very best I can to keep myself and other people safe and healthy. When I look at what's transpiring in our society, when I was talking about the violence, the protest, there's a huge unrest in our nation. And while it's important for us to be active in our spiritual practices, it is also imperative that those practices move us into action. That action may be that we're at a protest. For me personally, I try to find out who is presenting the protest before I participate, because I want to know that they hold in consciousness what it is that I ascribe to. When I think of the life of Jesus as our example, learned teacher, Son of God, he came and served as a model to us. Remember John 14:12. This is from the New International Version. This is what Jesus said. He said, "Very truly I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do greater things than these." That's an invitation, a call to all of us. You know, we think, am I going to do greater than Jesus? Walk on water, heal disease, raise people from the dead? I think when I think about the unrest in our nation, the inequality, the racism, the places where we really need healing, I think it's very difficult. It's like raising the dead to create change. It is like healing the lame. So I believe that the shift in consciousness that must transpire for us is that we become part of the solution out there in community, not only in our quiet places of prayer and contemplation, meditation, and practice, but in our ways of being in life. I want you to notice in that reading it says, the spiritually minded are surrounded by an atmosphere of reality. That's the large R, the equivalent of God, the very presence of which heals. So that's the purpose of our spiritual practice, so that we connect with that large R of reality, that we connect with the sacred within us and the sacred that is in all of creation, and that we could be whole and that we go out and help transform our world. It's important for us to remember it's done unto us as we believe. Do I believe it? Do I really believe I can be an agent of change? That I am called to be part of the solution of healing the world? It's a daunting task. So I want us to think about, how can I be part of the solution? That's something I ask myself. When I see such anger that someone goes to a school and interacts and creates a mass shooting, or a shooting happens in a public place, great anger, great frustration. I would say a sense of hopelessness and despair must be within that person to take such an action. To me, there's a huge call for us to reach out towards that anger, to reach out and help people, to be that light. And so very practical tools for that. I want us to pause for a moment and look at our own lifestyle. Jesus was a man of diversity. In fact, he was very controversial. He had in his life, he spoke and had relationship with people that were considered harlots, tax collectors. Those were the severe of the unclean. And yet he fellowshiped with them. I think he was like Paul, who later said, "To the Romans, become a Roman." What they're pointing to is a level of connecting where people are, meeting them where they are. It doesn't mean that we give up who we are. It just means that we work to understand where they are, which is difficult when someone has taken up an arm, a gun, a weapon to kill people, to understand where they are. That's something our society is creating. So I think we must model that diversity. We must model that level of understanding. I don't know if you're familiar with the Southern Poverty Law Center. They came into being in about 1971. And I've had relationship with them through the years, participating in making donations. But they're a group that works on creating healing in our nation. They're an exceptional group. I would say they take mindful action. So they work on litigation, education, and I would say probably advocacy. Those are probably their three main goals. So they go about trying to educate people about understanding each other, supporting diversity. They also do what is called Hate Watch. So if you go on their website, they keep track of all the groups espousing hate throughout our nation. California has 19 recognized hate groups, and they're all listed on there. So I've been having a brief conversation with them, the Southern Poverty Law Center, by email. Because one of the things, they have these really beautiful colored logos or words that they use to promote this education and advocacy. And one of the words they have on there is tolerance. And so, for me personally, I think we need to move beyond tolerance. I think we need to move into understanding. I don't see the life and work of Jesus as tolerating people. I saw his work in connecting with people. So much so that even the religious leaders of his time were critical of him because he didn't follow the social norms. He fellowshiped with people that others saw as unfit, disgusting. And I think that's the model that we are to follow. So the conversation I've been having by email, they've said, we've given long and hard consideration of the word tolerance. And they specifically have chosen it, and they see it more as simply putting up with each other. And I continue my conversation with them. I don't know where it will lead. I don't know if it will create a change, but I'm learning to understand them, and they're learning to understand me. I also had a friend recently share with me that she's gone to public places in Reading, and we've been asked to wear masks. And she said, I feel frustrated because I'm sometimes the only one, or there's two or three or four of us wearing masks in a location where you're going to shop for food, and the staff is not wearing a mask, even though they're supposed to. And so she said, what do we do? So I suggested to her, which is what I've done, is I report it to public health. Maybe public health won't enforce it, but I think it's important for them to know what's transpiring. I think that is what is meant by mindful action. How do I engage government? How do I engage my community? How do I engage my family? How do I engage myself in a way that is aware of my role, my personal power, and how I use it? One of the things that stood out to me in that reading from Damien, that I think that we're all called to, this part about understanding. I oftentimes hear people talk about equality. So what does equality mean? I don't understand, and it's a conversation I've been having with different groups of people and different individuals. Is equality only about access to resources for all ethnic groups? Is it limited to that? I don't think that's what solely Dr. King was about, or Gandhi. Access equality for resources is imperative, but I think it's greater than that, because think about this. What if I make the decision for my life about what particular faith tradition I practice or ascribe to or interface with? I see that every individual has that God-given right, God-given responsibility, actually, to do a mindful action about what is my value system and how do I live in the world. In fact, when I read the sacred text from many traditions, it says we are not to judge. So for me, building understanding also means that I think every individual has the responsibility to practice the faith or not practice a faith that they feel called to do. So I don't view that someone who is Christian is less than someone who is a Buddhist, or a Buddhist is less than someone who is Sikh, or someone who is Baha'i. I think equality means that we respect everyone, no matter their ethnic background, no matter what faith tradition they uphold, no matter their sexual orientation, where they are in economic wealth. I must see other people as the individualized expression of God, of Spirit. Spirit is how I reference God. Otherwise, I don't see them in the true light and calling of who we are, of who they are. Notice with the woman, she touched the hem, just the hem of Jesus' garment, and was transformed. So here's the real challenge. When people come into relationship with me, come in contact with the hem of my garment, is there a healing? That is actually what we are called to. Remember, Jesus said, "You will do works greater than I." So sometimes we just go, "Whoa, I don't know about that." What it's pointing to is when we are in tune with Spirit, when we're immersed in the quality of our God-likeness, our presence transforms. The touching of our garment transforms. And that's a tall calling. But I think it's one that we are called to be. Other ways that we can look more deeply at how we are showing up in the world. This is a personal challenge. Let me pause for a moment and think of the people that I interface with, the people who share not only in my personal community, but also share in my faith community. When I look around, do I see people of color? Do I see brown, black, red, yellow, white? And if not, why not? Do I look around and do I see elders, teens, young adults, and children, infants? If not, why not? When I look around, do I see a diversity of sexual orientation? Do I see heterosexual, homosexuals, transgendered, all the whole spectrum? Because if not, then there's work for me to do. Seek out those different than us. Seek out that diversity. Welcome and invite them in so that we can learn from each other. I always tell people we have commonalities that we can always work with. But the strength is when we can learn from our differences and build that understanding. That's how people are transformed and healed. That takes mindfulness. Recognizing that if I look around and the complexion of my community is white, then how do I meet other people? In Redding, California, we have the Interfaith, Shasta Interfaith, which is a whole diverse association of Baha'i and Sikh and Buddhist, Christian, New Thought, very diverse. Even diverse in the Buddhist, our Jewish brothers and sisters. Do I see all people as brothers and sisters? In our community, we have Mien, Hmong, Laotian, Thai, Native American, African American, Filipino, Hawaiian, Hispanic, as well as white. There's a group in town, the Beloved Community, that specifically looks at developing relationship with African Americans and collaborating on community projects. Reach out. Get to know people. Invite them to lunch. Invite them to coffee. And sometimes we don't because we're afraid of what it might mean. I won't know what to say. I won't know what to do. I'm different. I'm uncomfortable. Remember, being uncomfortable is a good thing. It says you're in territory that's new to you, that you're growing. And it's okay to say to someone, hey, I don't know what to say and I don't know what to do. You know, it was July 1999, July 1 specifically, that the Matson Mauter murders happened here in Shasta County. A gay couple was murdered because they were gay. White supremacy, the extreme right, is going to the protest in our nation and trying to create chaos, trying to create a civil war within our country. We must stand up against hate. Remember what King said? Hate does not eradicate hate. Only love can do that. We must be taking action to speak what is important and true. It's imperative. And part of that is even looking for ways to address the white supremacist with love. Tall order. You know, Rumi is one who's always spoken to my heart. One of the quotes he has that I deeply love, this is it. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. So I want you to imagine this field, out beyond wrongdoing and right doing, a field. And this is what he says: I will meet you there. I will meet you there. To me, that is what understanding is that we're able to go to that place and be together, recognize who we are at an essential level, all created in the image and likeness of God. He also said, following that, when the soul lies down in that grass, the grass of that field, when the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. He's pointing to a state of communion with each other, a state of communion. So the question for all of us to contemplate: what mindful action will I take? How will I allow Spirit to move through me, the large reality, the large R, the Spirit, so that not only am I transformed, but as I go out into the world, that people come and experience that connection to the sacred, so that all of us are healed and transformed. So I invite us into prayer. Great Spirit, Holy One, the one that dwells within each of us, the one present in all of creation. I sense your presence. I sense that immense love that has held out for humanity, the opportunity to see each other at an essential level, that each of us might be recognized for who we are. And where there is pain and suffering in the world, where there is limitation and hatred, I recognize and know that the presence of your Spirit, through me, through other people, through the essence of life, has the power to heal, to transform, to cause us as a people, a global family, a nation, a community, as one individual, to feel the presence of love every day, to feel at home as we move through this lifetime. It is such a brief time that we are here. May our consciousness, our awareness, call us to mindful action, to find the brother and sister in all people, to go into that field beyond wrongdoing and right doing, to meet there, to commune, to heal together. And so I take my spiritual practices. I take the essence of who I am through you, Spirit, through you that is alive in me and alive in each being. We're there in the field in the tall grass together. And together we learn from each other. We respect our differences. We thrive, we grow, we heal. And in great gratitude for how you envisioned us to be and knew who we are through our birthright as sacred human, I give thanks. I give thanks for this teaching that calls me to a new level of being, that invites me to discover more fully who I am. So I give thanks, speaking this prayer into being, to transform our world beyond this room, beyond this broadcast, into our nation and across our globe, into the family of humanity. And I release this prayer. I release it now, knowing that it already is. And so it is. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. That was beautiful. And now is another really important part of our service, and that's the offertory. So wherever you are, if you would say this after me. Gratefully I give with an attitude of abundance.
Gratefully I give with an attitude of abundance.
For I know as I give, I do receive.
For I know as I give, I do receive.
And so we really appreciate your pledge and your donations. It's been a challenge for many businesses around Reading, and thanks to you, we're doing fine. But it's just a reminder that, you can push that pledge button or that donate button on the website. You can mail in a donation. You can call us with your credit card and a donation. Or my favorite part is when you knock on the door and I open it and you slip me an envelope. It's always good, that way we can see each other, even if it's just for a couple of seconds. So we know that after the 9 o'clock service, we always say this call and response, and I invite you, before Dalton plays his beautiful music, to really stand up and give it your all. There is only one life.
There is only one life.
That life is God's life.
That life is God's life.
That life is perfect.
That life is perfect.
And that life is my life now.
And that life is my life now.
One more time. There's only one life.
There's only one life.
That life is God's life.
That life is God's life.
That life is perfect.
That life is perfect.
And that life is my life now.
And that life is my life now.
Thank you for being with us.
Go ahead and stand on up wherever you are. Shake out the tension that you're holding on to in your body, and sing along with me, please. I am free. I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited right now. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited right now. We are free, we are free, we are unlimited. There are no chains that bind us. We are free, we are unlimited right now, right now. We are free, we are unlimited. There are no chains that bind us. We are free, we are unlimited right now. Sing it loud for me now. We are free, we are unlimited. There are no chains that bind us. We are free, we are unlimited right now, right now. We are free, we are unlimited. There are no chains that bind us. We are free,